Mr. Jeff Ward, you are current Clinton County Sheriff and you are running again in the upcoming election. Why don't we start out with you telling me a little bit about yourself? How long have you been here in Clinton County?
I am a lifelong resident of Clinton County. I'm married, my wife Nancy. We have 5 kids and 5 grandkids. I've been involved in law enforcement for 31 years. I started my career at the Frankfort Police Department in 1983. I was a patrol officer. I graduated from the Indiana Law Enforcement Academy in 1983. From then, I was promoted up to the ranks to detective in probably 90 or 91, and held that detective's position for about 20 years, and was in charge of investigations up until 2010 when I retired after being elected sheriff. And then from that time, I've been the Clinton County Sheriff since 2011 to present.
And why did you decide to make that jump from working for the police department to what is a political office as the sheriff?
Well, after I've been a policeman for a number of years, I get to interact with several of the sheriffs and watch what some of our police chiefs had been like, and I just made a decision at some point I wanted to be sheriff.
Got it. Now, your opponent is Kirklin Town Marshal John Faucett, and he has called your administration reactive rather than being proactive. Do you think that's a fair way to characterize what you do, and would you consider that word a critique?
I don't consider us reactive at all. We're very proactive in the community. We have educational seminars, trying to educate people on different topics such as the Sex and Violent Offender Registry. We've done some work there. We've had at least 2 of those in the library. We also have trained or provided training for women as far as rape and aggression defense. For some protection there. We've also increased the amount of deputies we have on patrol by changing their work hours so that there are more deputies out there making a difference. My belief is being visible is a bigger deterrent to crime than not being out there, not being seen. So we have 4 deputies out there doing that. Not all the time, but we have 2 squads. There's 7 deputies on each squad, so one squad is going to have 3 working days or nights, and one will have 4 working the opposite. We go to a lot of the different community functions around the town where we're providing information about frauds, about scams, and about bullying. We're in the schools. We make a presence in the schools with deputies. They are out there patrolling. We work DUI enforcement, where we have, and that's sometimes, a lot of times done with the Frankfort Police Department, so we're working together there. We're also trying to do something about drugs. We have, at one time we were doing drug interdiction with one of our investigators, and that was also with the Frankfort Police Department, the Boone County Sheriff's Office, and the Lebanon Police Department. We were working as a group. We've been out at least twice a year collecting prescription drugs, trying to get unused, unwanted prescription drugs out of our houses and the streets, making it, folks have a good, safe choice on how to get rid of their prescription drugs now if they don't want it. We also have a drop box at the Sheriff's Office. To me, that's very proactive in the community. I don't believe that to be reactive at all.
Got it. Another critique on the drug interdiction program from Mr. Faucett is that sometimes patrolmen spend too much time on Interstate 65, when in Faucett's mind it would be more beneficial to address the drug problem that's in Frankfort, that's in Clinton County. Maybe you could explain what your department does in prioritizing whether to patrol Interstate 65 or in town and in the county.
We aren't actually on Interstate 65 any longer. We have basically, I don't think any of us are involved in that interdiction unit as of today. Our drug investigator is currently working locally with He has sometimes worked with Indiana State Police. I know he's pulled some cases with the detectives with the Frankfort Police Department, so he is working within the confines of Clinton County and some of our small towns and county roads.
Is the ISP patrolling I-65 for drug interdiction then?
There is some interdiction going on. I don't know whether it's specifically right through here. They've done some of that. There are other agencies doing interdiction all along some of our major thoroughfares.
Switching gears a little bit, I want to ask about the role of sheriff, which requires some interlocal cooperation. Do you think that you have a healthy working relationship with the town marshals, the state police, and especially the Frankfort Police Department to accomplish what is essentially a unified goal of law enforcement?
We actually we hold a town marshal meeting every month, and there are others that come to this meeting besides the sheriff's office. I'm not there typically, but the sheriff's office itself hosts this meeting. I think about all of our detectives are there that are working. They're sharing information with the town marshals. Sometimes, I know the state police has been pretty good to come to some of these meetings here recently. And dispatch is there, so if a town marshal shows up to these meetings, he's at least getting information that others are receiving as well.
And you haven't had any problem cooperating with these different agencies?
Not that I'm aware of. I didn't bring the Frankfort Police Department up in these meetings, but Chief Bacon and I get along extremely well. We work together. As I mentioned, we work together on the prescription drug take back. We work together on DUI enforcement, and I got to say, Rossville Police Department also has been involved in some of this DUI enforcement. And I'm sure there are other areas too that we work together on that just escapes me at the moment.
Another topic that has been a big issue for pretty much every office that is up for election this year is the budget. So your department has taken quite a hit recently, and I was wondering how close we are to those budget cuts inhibiting your department's ability to operate effectively.
We're not there yet, in my opinion. This is going to take some good management on our part, but I'm telling you, we're prepared for it. Our eyes are open. We know what we're looking at, and we're prepared to make some tough decisions if we have to. I hope we don't have to down the road, but you know, obviously losing $100,000 does hurt, but we'll be okay.
Looking back on your time in the sheriff's position, is there an accomplishment or two that sticks out to you as the one you are most proud of?
I'm particularly proud of the way our agency has partnered with our community. I mean, I'm going back to this reactive, proactive thing. I believe that we're very proactive in the community. We're always out there doing something. We have a cadet program now where we have kids that are at least 18 years old that have an interest in law enforcement and have proven that are involved in our cadet program. So I'm proud of those things. I'm proud of the way our guys has taken to enforcement in our community as well. We have good leadership down at the sheriff's office. We have great guys in those positions as far as lieutenants and sergeants. They've come up with great ideas. They have our deputies out there doing extra patrols. They're extra patrolling schools, businesses, and things of that nature, being very proactive, as I might throw that out there again, in our community, trying to stop crime in its tracks.
Got it. Now, is there anything else that comes to mind that you think the people of Clinton County should know or have in the forefront of their minds going into this election in particular about the way their local government works and what obstacles lie ahead for the Sheriff's Department?
Well, there are at least one obstacle. I'm not going to say it's an obstacle. There's, and I know I've mentioned it a couple times, House Bill 1006, which is the Indiana Code revision, is, we believe, going to go into effect in July. And what that means is the state of Indiana basically has decided that they want more of our criminals that have done serious offenses to spend more time in prison, and those that haven't to be out here getting help in other ways. And it may be just be more of them on probation. There'll be more guys in community corrections. There may be more inmates in the local jails. And, you know, that's true with a juvenile too. I mean, the sheriff has nothing to do with juvenile detention in any of those centers, because that is a judge issue. That's a probation issue. It's not ours. And I just know that the state of Indiana is kind of moving towards more evidence-based type of programming for everybody. That includes some of these adults that are going to be coming out in this Indiana code revision. So it's gonna create some challenges for us. There's a study out there that indicates that our inmate population may rise about 10%, which is going to be 14 or 15 inmates. That's not going to fill us up, but you know, that's kind of what it is. I'm also, and I want to go back to the part of some proud things that we've done. Okay. We haven't brought the jail up hardly at all here, okay. And we've got our jail. The way we approach inmates in our jail now is we approach it on behavior. If you display good behavior, you know, our classification officer is going to look at that. And if you come in displaying good behavior, there's really nothing for you to maintain that behavior. You're going into a particular pod, everybody else is having good behavior. So we've come up with some programs that we think puts these inmates in a positive light, such as our volunteer inmate work program, where we have inmates out in the community who are supervised by a special deputy. They're performing tasks that puts them in a positive light, and maybe they've never been there before in that position to do something good and positive. We have a program that we call our a community transition program, where we kind of believe that maybe some of this idea that inmates want to reoffend could be due to the possibility that when they leave jail, they don't have a job. So we've tried to get, and we're doing it, by the way, getting them skills on how to look for a job, how to interview for a job, how to complete a resume, and how to be honest with their employer about where they've been. And
now, have you been able to measure any reduction in the recidivism rate for these inmates?
No, it's too new for us to do that. And
so
but we have been able to find some jobs. We just started it within the past 6 or 7 months.
And where did you get the idea?
That idea, I believe, might have been a collaboration between Don Stock and I, and then he made some calls and got with an individual from the Indiana Workforce and Development, and it kind of blossomed from there. Don was a great guy to have in that position. I'm not saying our new jail deputy or assistant jail commander isn't, but Don had a lot of great ideas on this type of thing. We've done some other things in the jail. We have 2 full-time transport officers who transports inmates to and from jail, to and from prisons. Those guys were there before I was sheriff. But since then, we have trained special deputies in the jail to make those transports from our jail to the court. And all this is done to try to keep deputies on the road. I mean, in the past, if our 2 transport guys were busy somewhere else, or if one of them was gone and the other one was doing transports to jail and it was a busy day, we had to rely on deputies to do that. Well, nowadays, very rarely do we use a deputy. We do sometimes, because it just can't be helped. But typically, you're going to see special deputies out of the jail doing those roles along with our transport officers.
Got it. Well, thank you so much for going through all of this with me. I'm sure that there's a lot more that we could cover. So do you have a final thought that you'd like to share?
You know, being sheriff is, to me, is the greatest job in the world since I've been here for almost 4 years. And I really think that it's not just me down there doing this. Like I said, I got a great staff. I got a lot of great people that work for me and work with me. And we try to work as a team. It's not just me making decisions. It's some of us getting together making decisions. And I think we've turned out a very good product for our community. I think we've done a good job in the community the last 4 years, and I look forward to continuing to doing that in the next 4 years.